Most New Zealand farmers are in the business of growing plants, either to feed livestock or people, or produce seeds. Applying nitrogen helps plants to grow, but it's no secret that too much nitrogen can lead to nitrates entering our streams, rivers and lakes. What you might not know is that nitrogen in the soil also produces a greenhouse gas that's far more potent than either carbon dioxide or methane. In a moment, we'll show you some things that you can do to reduce emissions of this gas. But first, let's see what's going on in the soil.
There's no planet B. I mean, this is what we've got, and we need to leave it in a better place for our children and our children's children's children so that they can enjoy life as we know it. Yeah, so that's really what drives me. Now, I've been working on nitrous oxide emissions for over 30 years now. It's very potent greenhouse gas. It's about 300 times more effective at trapping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide is. It's also a long-lived gas, so it stays in the atmosphere for over 100 years, but its warming effect after that can stay on for even centuries after that. Nitrous oxide is a gas that's produced naturally in the soil by microbes, and they use nitrogen that is in the system to convert to nitrous oxide. So nitrogen gets introduced into farming systems through fertilizer, through clover. Livestock farmers might bring in supplementary feed to feed a stock, which also contains nitrogen. And that nitrogen can then be redeposited onto land through animal urine and high concentrations of nitrogen. And then soil microbes use that nitrogen to transfer it into a form that plants can use. But not all that nitrogen is used by plants. Some of it sits in the soil mainly as nitrate, and that can then either leach into the waterways or it can be converted into nitrous oxide.
So, tonne for tonne, nitrous oxide is many times more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide. Fortunately, we produce a lot less of it, but nitrous oxide still accounts for around 12% of New Zealand's total greenhouse gas emissions. There must be something we can do about it, right? Let's see what the scientists are up to.
Yeah, some of the solutions they're looking into are, for instance, can we use certain different plants to actually utilize more of the nitrogen that is in excess in the soil? And then there are some new technologies on the horizons as well, and in particular one example there is really looking at some novel and new nitrification inhibitors that can reduce nitrous oxide emissions as well. Using plantain also appears to hold some promise for both reducing nitrate leaching and nitrous oxide emissions. And partly that's because there's less nitrogen going through the animal and there's less nitrogen in the urine. But there's also seemed to be some positive effect of the plant roots on the soil microbes that will reduce nitrous oxide emissions. But yeah, still work ongoing there, and we still also need to understand the mechanism behind all this, and also how plantain can be used best in the system, how can we maintain it in the system. They're all big questions still to be answered.
So a number of solutions are showing real promise. But there are things that you can try on your farm now that might make a difference. Let's take a look.
So key things to do are to consider whether you can reduce your fertilizer inputs. There are more and more technologies out there that really help you to do that precision fertilizer. Put it in a place where it's needed, where nitrogen is low. So these technologies are coming or are already out there. If you're a livestock farmer, consider reducing stocking rate. If you're able to produce the same amount of product with fewer animals, then that means the animals don't need as much maintenance feed, and that means that you don't need as much nitrogen inputs in terms of fertilizer or supplementary feed, which means less N in the system. And that will have a positive effect on nitrate leaching as well. So it's a win-win scenario. In cropping systems, the main source of nitrous oxide is the fertilizer that's applied to the crops. So fertilizer timing, rates, scheduling is a key in terms of minimizing nitrous oxide emissions and making sure that most of the nitrogen that is used is for plant growth.
Right now, there isn't one single solution for reducing nitrous oxide emissions. The most reliable option is to cut back the amount of nitrogen hitting your soil by lowering stock numbers, reducing supplementary feeds, or using less fertiliser. Reducing nitrogen in your soil will also reduce nitrate leaching. Scientists are working hard to find solutions to reduce nitrous oxide. You can keep up to date with all the developments on the Ag Matters website.